All right, welcome to the mental gym for today's explainer. As your logic coach, I am here to help you break down overconfidence and really train your brain to think clearly. We're going to be using some absolutely brilliant insights from Rolf Dobelli's work to get your mind into top shape today. Let's get to it. Okay, let's just dive right in. Picture this. Have you ever kept watching a totally terrible movie just because you paid for the ticket? Or, I don't know, maybe you forced yourself to finish a book you absolutely hated just because you were already halfway through. Why do we do this? Why do we force ourselves to suffer through bad experiences just because we spent a little money or time on them? Well, that little urge you're feeling right there, that is a classic cognitive error. And by definition, we aren't just talking about an occasional, random bad judgment. No, this is a systematic deviation from logic. You see, our brains are essentially hardwired for a Stone Age environment, which makes us super prone to making these highly predictable routine mistakes in our chaotic modern world. So here's your workout plan for today. We've got Station 1, the social traps. Station 2, the pattern illusions. Station 3, the ego defenses. And we'll wrap it all up with a mental cool down. Starting off with Station 1, the social traps. This is all about how other people warp our thinking. In his book, The Art of Thinking Clearly, Dobelli talks a lot about the herd instinct and how it totally dictates our behavior. We tend to incorrectly assume that, hey, if a ton of people are following a certain idea or behavior, it must be the right thing to do. But falling for this herd mentality actually leads to some massive, systemic errors. This perfectly illustrates the sheer danger of social proof. Take the famous ash line experiment from the 1950s. A subject is brought in and asked a ridiculously simple question. Just match the lengths of some lines drawn on a piece of paper. The catch? 5 actors in the room purposefully give clearly wrong answers first, and the result is wild. A staggering 1/3 of the actual subjects literally lied about the length of a line, giving the wrong answer just so they wouldn't stand out from the group.
And you know, this intense desire to just fit in leads straight into groupthink. We've all been there, right? Biting your tongue in a meeting just to politely nod along with the consensus. That is literally your common sense being paralyzed. When everyone in a group simply agrees just to avoid conflict, it usually results in disastrous decisions, mostly because everyone is just assuming someone else has done the critical thinking for them.
Oh, and we can't forget authority bias. We love to blindly trust experts, but honestly, look at the reality of their track records. Dobelli points out this crazy fact that there are about 1 million trained economists on the planet, and almost none of them accurately predicted the timing of the 2008 financial crisis. It's a great reminder. Never suspend your own logic just because an authority happens to be the one speaking.
Great hustle on that first set. Let's move right into Station 2, the pattern illusions, where our brains invent rules that just don't exist.
Okay, wrap your head around this. I want you to imagine a massive number, 1 million. Specifically, imagine 1 million monkeys, and they are all speculating on the stock market, buying and selling stocks completely at random. Now, fast forward 20 weeks, with half of them winning and half losing each week through pure random chance. Eventually, just one billionaire monkey is left standing. Naturally, the media would absolutely pounce on him, praising his brilliant success principles. But guys, this is purely outcome bias. We are evaluating the decision based solely on the result rather than the process, completely confusing a really lucky coincidence with brilliant strategy. We also suffer super heavily from the clustering illusion. Our brains are incredibly hypersensitive to patterns. We aggressively seek them out in totally random data. It's exactly why people swore up and down they saw a captivating human face on Mars in those early fuzzy satellite photos. But when the high-res photos came back decades later, it proved to be exactly what it always was, just plain old rock and scree. Rule of thumb, if a pattern seems a little too good to be true, it's probably just chance. All right, halfway through the boot camp, let's hit Station 3, the ego defenses. This is all about protecting our pride at the expense of logic. I love Warren Buffett's take on this next one, the confirmation bias. He says, what the human being is best at doing is interpreting all new information so that their prior conclusions remained intact. It is the mother of all misconceptions. We actively, aggressively filter out any contradicting evidence just to protect our existing worldview. Right next to that is the self-serving bias. Picture a CEO writing up an annual report. If the company has an absolutely excellent year, the CEO attributes that success entirely to their own brilliant decisions. But if it's a miserable year, well, suddenly they're blaming the exchange rate, or foreign trade practices, or governmental interference. We just naturally attribute success to ourselves and shove failures onto external factors. And hey, remember that awful movie ticket from our warm-up? Yup, that is the sunk cost fallacy in action, sometimes known as the Concorde effect. We stubbornly continue a bad project or sit through a terrible movie just to justify non-recoverable past investments. But true rational decision-making requires you to completely forget past costs and only look forward at the future benefits.
Phew, you've put in the heavy lifting today. Let's transition into the cool down for your daily mental workout.
So, the really crucial point to take away from all of this is knowing when to use your brain's two completely different operating systems. On one side, you have intuitive thinking. It's fast, it's effortless, but man, it is highly prone to emotional traps and story bias. On the flip side, you have rational thinking. This one is slow, it is totally exhausting, and it guzzles energy, but it is intensely logical. So, here is my final Logic Coach advice for you today. Go ahead and let your intuition run wild for those everyday low-stakes choices, like picking out a brand of bottled water. You should also totally trust your gut when you are operating strictly within your practiced circle of competence. But, and this is a big but, you absolutely must deploy your slow, rational thinking when the consequences are complex and actually matter. And there you have it. You've officially completed the bootcamp. But the real test, that starts right now. Tomorrow, when you're faced with a high-stakes decision, will your rational mind be in the driver's seat, or will your ego, your peers, and your illusions be steering you straight off a cliff? Stay sharp out there and ask yourself, which irrational pattern are you going to catch yourself in today?